Cocopin and Cocopin. Hey everyone, I'm Cocopin. After returning from our adventure with Grudge, the monster who devoured gratitude, the world was filled with the gentle words of thank you. In the treasure hall on the living room shelf, the new Dewdrop of Gratitude had joined the collection, and all 9 treasures sparkled joyfully, like a close-knit family. Shohei-san was active on the field, and his presence gave courage to many people. Every day was a perfect, happy ending, and beyond. I gazed at the clouds floating in the sky, thinking how wonderful it would be if this happiness could last forever and ever. But even in the clearest sky, sometimes, without anyone noticing, a small gray cloud can appear. The anomaly began with a news report on TV. The announcer confidently declared, "This new product is a groundbreaking invention that will allow anyone to fly easily." But in the small video clip in the corner of the screen, people were only hopping a few centimeters. In the past, everyone would have laughed it off, saying, "That's a lie." But the studio audience had sparkling eyes and applauded without a hint of doubt. When I went out into the city, the strange sight was even clearer. At the greengrocer's, the owner casually exaggerated. "These tomatoes are miraculous. Eat them and you'll live to be 100. Children told their mothers, "I finished all my homework," while hiding untouched notebooks in their bags. Truth was beginning to disappear from the world. The boundary between lies and truth was becoming blurred, as if dissolving into a fog. People casually told lies that suited them and pretended not to notice the lies of others. It was easier that way. It prevented them from getting hurt. But as a result, everyone, deep down, was losing the ability to trust others. Such a cold, tense atmosphere began to envelop the world. This change, of course, also affected the treasures in our house. In particular, the divine brush of truth, imbued with the teachings of Tenjin Sama, had almost lost its luster, lying weakly like an old brush. Hai of the Mero tribe's Tears of the Tide also seemed to have weakened in its ability to discern lies, becoming dull and cloudy. Oh, I see. The feeling of trust is born from a straightforward connection between hearts, without lies. That connection was now being severed all over the world. It was that night. Shohei-san, perhaps sensing something in the strange atmosphere of the world, silently gazed out the window. Just then, someone tapped gently, "Con," on the balcony glass. When we looked at each other, standing there was a sparkling boy, as if he had stepped out of a polished mirror. His body was made of crystal that shimmered with rainbow colors depending on the angle of the light, and his eyes were so direct and transparent that they seemed to see through any lie, any secret. With a sad expression, he bowed deeply to us. "Greetings, I am Raful, a mirror spirit who serves the spring of truth. Prince Shohei and wise companions, please lend us your strength. Our world, the light of truth, is about to vanish." As Raful held up his crystal hand, the space before him shimmered like a water surface, and an incredibly beautiful image of a spring appeared. From that spring, pure, untainted water, which was truth itself, gushed forth endlessly. By showering this spring water upon the real world, people gained the power to distinguish between truth and lies. So this was the true nature of what we called intuition, or sixth sense. But that clear spring quickly became murky. The small lies people told, the big lies, lies to protect themselves, lies to hurt others. These became a sticky, gray mist of deceit, covering the spring completely. The spring water lost its brilliance, turning into stagnant, muddy water. That is the work of Kagerou, the embodiment of lies with 1,000 faces. He enjoys watching people deceive each other with lies, becoming unable to trust, and falling into confusion. He once trusted people more than anyone, but a single terrible lie took everything from him. That deep sorrow eventually turned into a twisted joy. Crystal tears fell from Riefl's eyes. If this continues, the spring of truth will completely dry up, and the world will enter an age of distrust where no one can believe anything. Please, I beg you. Shohei-san listened silently to Riefl's story. He quietly stood up and gently took the divine brush of truth, which had lost its luster. A strong light, one that would not be swayed by any lie, had returned to his eyes. Let's go, Riefl. I won't let anyone have to protect themselves only with lies. That's too sad. Riefl nodded strongly at his resolute words. Thank you. Then, let us go. To the illusory kaleidoscope labyrinth, where truth and lies swirl. As Riefl chanted a spell, the large mirror in the living room rippled like an aurora, and a vortex of light appeared before us. Without hesitation, we all leaped into that sparkling light. The kaleidoscope labyrinth we arrived at was, as its name suggested, a dazzling place where walls, floor, and ceiling were all made of mirrors. Our reflections appeared by the hundreds, by the thousands, making it impossible to tell which was real. With every step, the mirror walls rotated, and the scenery spun like a kaleidoscope. This was a nightmarish world created by Kagerou, where lies and truth were mixed. Just then, a joyful chuckle echoed from deep within the labyrinth. Welcome, foolish devotees of truth. In a world like this, what value does truth even have? With the voice, Kagerou appeared smoothly from the mirror before us. He had no fixed form, sometimes a king, sometimes a clown, sometimes a beautiful woman. As he was said to have 1,000 faces, he changed his appearance one after another, mocking us. Prince Shohei. You know it too, don't you? Everyone only seeks your perfect form. Aren't you always hiding your true heart, the one that fears failure, with a smile which is a lie? Kagerou's words weren't just insults. They were like poisoned arrows, skillfully drawing out the weakest part of one's heart, the true feelings one wanted to hide. I saw Shohei-san's face cloud over for a moment. Perhaps it hit home. And you, wise messenger, are the same. In truth, you think you're the greatest. Don't you consider your companions merely supporting characters in your own story? I, too, felt as if a sharp needle had pricked deep into my chest. I wanted to shout, "That's not true." But when asked if there was even a tiny bit of such a feeling somewhere in my heart, I lost confidence. Woof. Even Cocopin, affected by Kagerou's deceptive aura, curled his tail uneasily. Oh no, this is it. Our hearts are going to be torn apart. Just as I thought that, it happened. No. Shohei-san's cry from his soul shook the entire labyrinth. Maybe so. I am weak, and I always put on a brave face. Even Cocopin and Cocopin aren't perfect. But so what? We're full of flaws, clumsy, and yet this feeling of wanting to trust each other, that's not a lie. That alone is real. Shohei-san's honest confession. It was a cry from the soul, stronger than any logic, any power. At those words, both Cocopin and I snapped back to reality. That's right, it's okay not to be perfect. The feeling of accepting each other's weaknesses and still wanting to be together, that's true trust. Shohei-san powerfully gripped the divine brush of truth, which had lost its luster, from his pouch. Kagerou, if you can only protect yourself with lies, then I will face you as I am. As if responding to Shohei-san's resolve, a miracle occurred. His honest feelings became a sacred light, pouring into the divine brush of truth. The brush began to emit a dazzling, perfectly pure light, unlike anything before. Furthermore, the tears of the tide, which had been cloudy on my chest, began to shine brightly as if waking up. The light of truth, which could see through lies, shattered the illusions of deceit that covered the labyrinth one after another. Shohei-san raised the shining divine brush to the sky and began to draw a magnificent character in the air. It was just one character, truth. That single character emitted an absolute light, like a sun shining in the night sky. The light burned away the mist of deceit, peeling off Kagerou's 1,000-faced masks, one by one. And finally, Kagerou's true face appeared. It was the figure of a small boy with sad eyes, who had been lied to and betrayed by someone he once trusted, and had continued to cry all alone. Shohei-san put away his weapon and gently knelt before the crying Kagerou. It was hard, wasn't it? You were sad, weren't you? The tears you shed aren't lies. They're real, so you don't have to protect yourself with a mask of lies anymore. It's okay. Shohei-san's honest, straightforward words. They gently melted Kagerou's frozen heart more than any words of comfort. Real tears, not false ones, overflowed from Kagerou's eyes. With those tears, the labyrinth vanished, as if glass was shattering, and the spring of truth completely regained its original pure and beautiful radiance. Before we knew it, we were back in our living room at home. The divine brush of truth and the tears of the tide sparkled proudly, as if praising each other. And next to them, a beautiful prism of truth, born from Kagerou's tears, which could refract light into 7 colors, was placed as a new treasure. From outside the window, we could hear the voices of neighbors talking. Sorry, I said a bit too much just now. No, I'm sorry for not listening properly. It might have been a little clumsy and awkward, but it was a warm, human conversation, trying to be honest with oneself. Lies might sometimes be necessary to protect someone or oneself. But what's truly important is not to lie to your own heart and to try to accept the unvarnished truth of others. Our adventure story seems to have many more important things to teach us.